Couple from social media. Mark asks, are you genuinely happy with the state of English rugby at all levels right now?
Well, clearly not. Otherwise, we wouldn't be getting on the road. You know, and there's some real challenges there. But I do think there's an awful lot of positives going on. If you look at the performances of the England team recently, really disappointing on the final results, and we're losing by 1 point here and 2 point there, and you get fed up saying could have, should have, and all the rest of it.
It's all right. The women will save you.
But I think, I think what Steve's putting together there is really exciting. If you look at the style of play and where it's going with that, I'm really excited about obviously Women's World Cup this year. And what's going on there. I'm confident that we've taken the fragility out of the RFU financial business situation, so that's stable going forward for the next cycle. We've talked about the pathway. I look at that coming through now. I actually see a community game at the moment, which, dare say, it seems to be in decent health when you go around the place at the moment, but we've got these frustrations that are coming through. And they have to be addressed.
We started at the top of last show talking about and we started this show talking about the succession moment, right? How did they balls up getting rid of you? Or because what we were told is that they didn't do it properly in action to get rid of you. So first of all,
that wasn't getting rid of it. It was calling the SGM.
Calling the SGM.
Did they fill in the paperwork?
That's what I want.
So it's the Rugby Football Referees Union,
right? Okay.
Who, by the sounds of things, were briefed by
the championship clubs
or a couple of them. So they send a letter out, which the referees associations are upset with because they say they haven't been consulted. So they send a letter out with the list of these things that we're not delivering on, like the finances, the RFU, the cost of getting rid of edits.
And this is the referees?
This is the referees union, right? Send this out, which is why Wayne responded, because he had no idea about it and didn't agree with what was in there. That goes out to clubs all around the country.
Right.
And you need 100 to have a SGM.
Right.
And I think the figure was 151, I think it's come back. So we were sitting in the office, got notification that a request for an SGM was going to come in. It came in, but you've got to actually have signatories from the clubs. And all that came in was a list of clubs. There was no signatories on it. So our head of legal went back and said, if you want to have an SGM, we've got to have the signatories involved. So can you go back and get the signatories on it? So then and we'd sent that out, and we'd actually released a thing saying we've received a request for an SGM, but we haven't got the signatories. So at the moment, it's not valid. So I think within about 2 hours,
that's the one thing you respond to with everything that's coming over. It's the one thing you've responded to with everything that's going on.
That's a low blow. We do respond a lot. We do respond a lot.
But if you do, the message isn't getting through.
SGM, they want to get your signatures.
My frustration...
Well,
I didn't think it coming in, but my frustration for you is all the good things that are going on, you are being battered by the referees union who are cross about the championship and premiership promotion and relegation. I'm just like...
I don't think they're cross about it.
Well, I know they're not, but that's the message that they've sent through. So it wasn't a low blow to you. I'm just like...
No, but it was quite funny because that is the one thing that came out in the statement. All the important stuff you could have come out with. Okay, so what happened? So then you asked them you put the press release out. We've had an SGM called, but they haven't filled out the signatures properly. And then what happened?
And we had to do that because you've got the media saying we've been told an SGM request has come in. So you've got to go back and say, well, actually, we've got it requesting, but there aren't any signatures around this thing. I mean, it could have been just completely speculative. So you go back, you say, but it hasn't complied with X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
So we then got those emails in, and then the SGM goes off. So now we've got to go back and say, yep, SGM accepted, fine, and here's the date. So as I said, I think at the very start, it's going to be probably around the end of March.
Just to add to that, and for the detail, again, for those of you who haven't followed this that closely, well done if you're still with us, but it's very interesting. What's very apparent is that you have got support within the walls of power at the RFU, and I'm referencing Sir Bill Beaumont, interim chair, as we said, who has said, and I quote, having seen all countries wrangle the same problems, I can say with confidence in comparison to many other countries, the RFU has come out of this period very well. Wayne Barnes, who we've referenced a couple of times, I quote, when calling for the meeting, the SGM, they, the Rugby Football Referees Union, have used inflammatory language and provided inaccurate information. Having spoken to the secretary of the RFRU, he told me that most of the misleading wording was provided by the Championship Club representatives. Again, I quote Genevieve Shaw, who's the ex-chair of the RFU's Remuneration Committee. She says she's extremely comfortable with the LTIP scheme that we've touched on, with an increased salary of £742,000 as well. Shaw explained, I feel the RFU board is run incredibly professionally and lives up to any FTSE 100 standard. I think if the executive team have hit the heights and the targets that were set for them, that is all that you can ask. The challenge you've got, as we've said, is already coming from the referees. You reference this, it's also worth mentioning, the SGM has been called. A flat vote at the SGM cannot remove you, but what it will do, and the rebel clubs we're talking about at this point, they can only use the SGM to put pressure on the board to have you sacked. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So what actually constitutes the SGM? Is it everybody into a room at Twickenham with biscuits and coffee and off you go?
It'll be a hybrid. So you'll have some people there in person. You'll have
Million worth of expenses.
And is it
cakes.
sort of like a trial in that you have to put your case forward and they put theirs and...
Well, you can vote. You can vote leading up to it as well.
Right.
So we'll be tracking votes and seeing how that's going on the way through. We'll get on the road, as I mentioned. We'll do the road show and speak to people.
Should you not release a statement with all everything you've just talked about now in a black and white form, one page, and gone this, this,
No, that will go out.
Fine.
So Bill, as the interim chair, has got to issue a statement saying, right, the SGM is now being called for this particular date, and that will have with it some of the points in terms of contesting some of the statements that they make. So that will go out.
Rob Godfrey, why did you put up with Eddie Jones for so long?
Why did you put up with him for so long?
Can I rephrase that as well? How damaging was the fallout when you've got players like Danny Kerr saying, 100 Test England legend, saying the environment was toxic?
It probably sold a lot of books for him coming up there when he did. Danny seems to be pretty pro Eddie on many occasions as well. I mean, Eddie, there came a point where Eddie left, or we chose to let him go.
So nothing ever came across your desk from employees in the coaching staff who were moved on, from players? Nothing ever came to you saying this environment is not what it should be?
No, I mean, everyone knows Eddie's a tough, uncompromising character. I'd speak to some of the players there and they'd say, if you really want to perform at your best, he gets the best out of you, and he sets a different level in terms of this is what you've got to do if you want to really be successful. So was he a taskmaster? Well, you know better than I would. Absolutely he was. I spoke to, if not all, most of the exiting coaches. Anthony Seibold I spoke to, John Mitchell I spoke to, Simon Amor I spoke to, Wisemantle. Spoke to them all in terms of, none of them said this is absolutely toxic and this, that and the other's going on. Is it because they didn't want to tell me? I don't know. But no, I didn't have anything come across my desk saying it was, you knew it was a tough environment, but nothing of what you may be hinting at.